What's up, YouTubers? It's your old buddy Hardworker 12 with you today, and I have a 2020 Hyundai Ioniq hybrid rental car. Why have I rented a Hyundai Ioniq hybrid? Well, it turns out when you hit a bear with your Subaru, it gets to spend a couple of weeks in the body shop. So my insurance company has provided me with this lovely steed to drive around, and today I'm going to do a quick review on it for you. Since it's a hybrid, the first thing I'm going to talk about is going to be the observed fuel economy that I've had so far, which has been pretty good. Then I'm going to measure out the cargo space, we're going to have a look at the passenger space, and we're going to take it for a test drive. And as always, if some of that sounds interesting and other parts sound boring, check the description for timestamps. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the fuel economy that I've seen so far with this car. Now, this is just the standard Ioniq hybrid. This does come in a plug-in variant and I guess a full electric variant as well. This one is just a regular hybrid, and I am happy to announce I have a new champion on my fuel economy loop. I have a standard fuel economy loop that's literally a loop around near the closest gas station to my house that I try to do very late at night and observe the speed limit so I can kind of control for variables. This car came in at an incredible 64.3 miles per gallon on my fuel economy loop. It went 44.9 miles and it only burned 0.698 gallons of fuel. And that is very favorable in comparison to its 59 miles per gallon highway rating. EPA, this car is rated 57 city, 59 on the highway. The next closest car, this is actually the only hybrid I've run, the next closest car was my old diesel Volkswagen Jetta Sport Wagon. That one came in at 40.8 miles per gallon on the fuel economy loop. So the old Ioniq, under those controlled circumstances, did great on the fuel economy. However, in the ensuing week that I've used it to commute back and forth to work, not quite as good, although still very good in my opinion. In the week that I've had it, I've done, not including the fuel economy loop, 316.5 miles, and it burned 6.232 gallons of fuel for a total average of 50.8 miles per gallon. Now, that is much less than the 57 city, 59 highway rating, but most of those miles were done on the heavy traffic Southern California freeways where you're either doing 8 miles an hour or 80 miles an hour. So I actually consider a real world 50.8 miles per gallon to be pretty darn good given those circumstances. So that has been my experience with the fuel economy so far on my Hyundai Ioniq rental car. Let's have a look at the cargo room. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take the old tape measure and we're going to measure out the cargo space in the back of the Hyundai Ioniq. The length from the back of the back seat to the back of the cargo area with the seats up, about 35 inches. The length from the top of the back seat to the back of the cargo area with the seat folded down, about 5 feet. Maximum width of the rear cargo area, about 51 inches. Minimum width of the rear cargo area, about 39 inches. Maximum height of the rear cargo area, realistically 26.5 inches. And the lift height from the ground to put something in the car, right about 30 inches, 29.5 maybe. Something else that's really cool is underneath the load floor, you have this kind of interesting segmented cargo compartment. So if you had stuff that you wanted to store in your car, you know, emergency supplies maybe, or just other little knick-knack stuff, you've got some nifty storage in the underneath the cargo floor here in the Ioniq. Let's have a look at the passenger room. Next, we're going to have a look at the passenger space on the car. Now for this, I find the tape measure to be less useful and I use myself. I'm 6'5", so let's see if I can sit behind myself in a Hyundai Ioniq. No, I can't. As you can see, with my big behind sitting in the driver's seat, there's pretty much not going to be anybody sitting behind me unless they have no legs. However, on the passenger side, you can see that there is more room if you move that seat all the way up. But really, I would actually say the rear seat room in this car is pretty poor compared to similar size compact cars that I've tested of more modern designs. This is a bit of a weak point of the Ioniq, so thank God I don't have people to put in the back seat. Anyway, let's take her for a test drive. All right, so driving the Hyundai Ioniq. I've been driving this little car for about a week. I've had it for 8 days, so a little over a week. And I have to say, I really like this car. A lot of people who review cars, you know, if it's not the fastest, loudest, stiffest, hairiest, meanest thing they've ever driven, they don't like it. I don't feel that way, especially as I get older. You know, this is a nice little car. The ride is pretty good. The handling is pretty decent. The limits are not super high, but they are more than high enough for what the average person would explore on a daily drive. It's got plenty of power to keep up with Southern California freeway traffic, at least in my experience so far. And it's a nice little car. It's pretty refined. You know, you get some little grumbles out of the engine, but it's pretty smooth overall. I like the screens as far as this kind of main screen here, and then my little digital instrument cluster down there. One cool thing, when you're just in normal mode, it just kind of shows you eco on this side and power and all that. But if you put it into sport mode, it actually gives you an engine tachometer and things kind of turn red and it looks nice and sporty, which, I mean, it's a hybrid. It's not the sportiest thing, and you know, it's not like it's a McLaren P1, but that is a nice touch for somebody who, you know, wants to see a tachometer on their hybrid. It gives you that option. Put it in sport mode, there's your tachometer. There's another Hyundai there, some SUV of some description, and a Sonata hybrid in front of me. Look at that. And a Prius. Hyundai has come a long way in the last, you know, whatever it's been, 10, 11 years. They've, as far as the quality of their vehicles, I think has really dramatically improved, you know, from where they were, even probably up to like 2009, 2010, they kind of just switched a gear there at some point and just really started coming out with better products. And, you know, they were always popular, I feel like, because of the price point. They were always kind of low in price, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good value. But I think that with the improvement in quality, you know, the value proposition is there. And there's certain things about this car that are not overly refined. I mean, the steering wheel is like really nice Napa leather feeling material, but the rest of the materials in here feel kind of cheap. The back seat space kind of sucks. You know, really high speed handling stuff. You do feel a lack of chassis refinement. But for the average person, somebody who's just looking for a commuter car that gets a legitimate 50 miles per gallon in, you know, tough stop and go traffic and fast freeway driving, hey, you could do a lot worse than one of these. Let's give it the beans. Here we go. Woo! Look at how fast. See, it's really not, I mean, look at this. To the merge point, I'm doing 70 onto the highway. And in Southern California, you know, that was on a kind of a little uphill merge. It has enough power to deal with the freeways down here. And the freeways down here, I mean, this is, you gotta be on your game. But this has got enough power, merge over. And I mean, I'm in sport mode now, but that doesn't really make that much of a difference. I can put it back into drive. Probably the engine's gonna quiet itself down. No, it's still running. It wants to be sporty. But yeah, the ride's relatively refined on the highway. You know, I'm going 77. It's not overly loud. One thing that I don't like about this car, so it has blind spot monitors, which is good, but if you put your blinker on, when there's a car in your blind spot, it beeps at you, which I personally don't like. It might be possible to turn that off in the settings now that I think about it. I haven't actually tried to do that, but if it were my car, I would definitely try to disable that if that were possible, just because I don't need it to beep at me for something else. In my Subaru, what it does with the blind spot monitor is it blinks really fast when you turn the blinker on when there's somebody in there, but it doesn't make any audible noise. I kind of prefer that system, but that's a minor gripe. .3:48 p.m. at the start of one of the minor freeways in Southern California on a Wednesday, and traffic is already starting to build. I know. So anyway, that is my review of the 2020 Hyundai Ioniq Hybrid. A car I have enjoyed quite a bit, especially for the cheapest option rental car that your insurance company gives you for free. Drives nice. Thank you so much for watching my quick review of my Hyundai Ioniq rental car. Hope you enjoyed the review. If you did, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And if you didn't like it, why did you watch this long? Jiminy Christmas.